So last week marked 1 year since I moved to the Philippines. It's been a challenging journey, but at the same time an incredibly exciting and educational experience.
So we would like to take this opportunity to share with you our reflections and the outcomes of this year.
Our achievements, regrets,
and also to compare our expectation and what turned out to be a reality.
This wasn't my first visit to the Philippines. I've been here in 2018 and spent 5 weeks in the Davao area. Since then I was always thinking about moving to this country and spent like thousands of hours watching different YouTube vlogs, reading travel forums, expat diaries,
and interrogating me about all the smallest details possible.
We were also considering different regions of the Philippines, but couldn't find a decent reason not to settle around Davao. The city became one of the safest in the Philippines and is located in an area not affected by any typhoons.
And as an advantage, this is where I grew up. I know the places and traditions, speak the local dialect, and have a lot of friends.
And probably the biggest reason for us to settle here was that a couple of years ago we had a chance to buy land at a very affordable price. My biggest challenge in the first few months of staying in the Philippines was the lack of funds. The whole pandemic thing and later the war in my country with my city being completely destroyed made me extremely broke. By arriving in the Philippines, my budget was somewhere between $2,000 and $2,500, equivalent to 130,000 pesos. This time I was coming here as a long stayer, not a tourist, so I was focused on settling down, starting the new chapter of our lives, rather than just travel around the country. I was planning to spend the money I had left on building a temporary shed where we could live and run some businesses like a small all-in-one store or full-service laundry and so on. 130k was a tiny amount considering that my online job was pretty shaky at the time and I didn't have additional sources of income. And it wasn't helping that internet in this area is just terrible, so in order to continue working online I would have to rent a place in a more urban district of Davao.
But by the time we realized that there was no way to get decent internet here, we'd already invested most of our savings on building materials and we're halfway to finishing constructing our kubo. So we simply couldn't afford to rent anything anymore.
Constructing our own house, even a tiny one, seemed a challenging yet very exciting idea. I came across this video of a guy building a shed in just a few days, very easily and effortlessly. And I was like, it's so simple, hell, we can do even better.
So we followed this construction style. We bought tools and materials, measured and prepared the land, but then something went completely wrong.
First of all, our materials were nothing like in the video. The coconut lumber we bought was not even close to what you can call straight. What was declared to be 20 centimeters wide in reality could be 16.5 on one edge and 23 on another. The same with the other lumbers and dimensions. Well, we had it common with targeting the cheapest materials possible. We could find perfect lumber, but it would cost us 2 or 3 times more. Second of all, we didn't have all these fancy tools like the guy in the video does. He seems to be a professional carpenter who gathered a huge collection of any possible construction appliances and perfectly knows how to use them. And this leads us to the third and the biggest reason why our kubo ended up being nothing as we expected.
Neither of us had even the smallest experience in constructing.
However, this was an amazing and unforgettable experience that helped me to realize that I ain't no handyman and I better do things that I'm good at and let take care of serious project to someone who knows how to make things right. But of course I can do simple constructions.
Initially, we were planning to open a typical house store. So we planned our kubo to be equally divided into 2 zones. The room and the storage area. This is why the front side of the shed has this typical Filipino store net screen installed.
But while building, we realized that the store will not be profitable as long as we don't have our own 4 wheels. This is a remote area and only a couple of suppliers reach here, and bringing goods by taxi would eat all the profit.
Eventually, we started a laundry business, but not as something serious. more like a side hustle. We haven't advertised it except for this banner.
We had a few regular customers but quickly realized that this business is not worth it, at least in this location.
So this room now serving as a kitchen.
The comfort room doesn't look too comfortable.
But this is the main point here, to keep things as cheap and temporary as possible.
This helps us to stay motivated on building a big, comfortable and functional house in the future, and for now, keep investing in more important things. For example, now that we have a motorcycle, we need to build a roof for it. Maybe we will also transfer our bicycles there, since they occupy way too much space in our tiny house. Plus, we have to clean the wheels after every ride, which is quite exhausting.
We both love biking. In fact, this is an important exercise to keep our bodies healthier.
Starlink helped me to increase productivity in my online job, which is currently our only source of income. But the growing dominance of artificial intelligence is a huge threat to my profession, just like dozens of others.
So we continue searching, discussing, and considering possible offline businesses for the future.
In general, my first year in the Philippines turned out to be quite interesting and resultative. I have never regretted moving to this country. In fact, the more I stay here, the more I like it here. There are a bunch of things we did right, but there are some things I wish we had done differently or didn't do at all. As for our house, we shouldn't build the entire house with wood. Building wooden construction seemed simpler than using hollow blocks. And maybe it actually is.
We managed to build this kubo ourselves,
with the exception of the roof that a local carpenter helped us with. However, I badly underestimated the number of hazards for the wooden tropics. A month after we moved in, we noticed strange scratching noises going from the floor. Didn't pay attention for the first couple of days, but when we removed the linoleum, it was a disaster. In just a few days, termites made a few holes in our floor. We had to soak it completely, both in the room and the kitchen.
Twice, since the first attempt didn't help.
We used 12 gallons of a very strong smell and expensive chemical. Just a couple of months later, all the surfaces inside started being covered with brown dust, what later turned out to be the wooden shavings. Wood borer infected all the lumbers, turning wood into a sponge and leaving piles of wooden dust.
And only the strongest concentrated insecticide had helped to get rid of this parasite.
For now everything seems to be fine, but feels like this is not the end of the story. We should have processed every single lumber back at the preparation stage before we started constructing. It would save us from lots of headaches, but cost us a lot more, which we couldn't afford. The next thing we would do differently is we would never build a temporary wooden house along the road. We have the simplest walls possible. Just these fragile hardiflex panels that are made of pressed concrete or something. They are very thin, plus the front side of the shed is fully open, so it's zero soundproof in here.
There are a lot of kids playing around, lots of motorcycles passing during the day. Plus, the basketball court is just a few meters away.
The only reason we located our house here was the plan to run a store, and of course we didn't know that we will abandon this idea. Our next regret is not traveling enough. We were too focused on settling down, doing some household things around, and even simply working inside the house, ignoring the beauty of a remote job, being able to work from anywhere.
Yes, we did have a few remarkable trips during this year. We've been a few times to Samal and Taligod Islands, spent a night in a little Boracay, flew to a real Boracay, and even visited our friend in San Miguel. But we could have had many more trips, memories, and experiences.
My own regret is not socializing, like at all. Yes, I'm an introverted kind of person and I have only a few friends back home, but here are a lot of local people trying to reach out to me, and I used to react with nothing but short, abrupt answers and never sustaining conversations. This is something I'm not proud and trying to change about myself. And the last regret is the simplest, but at the same time the biggest. I wish I moved to the Philippines earlier. I didn't want to leave this country back in 2018, but had to come back because of a bunch of unfinished businesses. And now, when I look back, I regret I was chasing some meaningless, overestimated perks of a modern world, being part of a distracting, never-ending rat race. while deep inside dreaming of living a simple but real life among nature and the people I care about. But now I'm finally here. I'm here for already a year, and I'm glad that we are together in this beautiful country.
And we are so excited about our next steps, new emotions, unforgettable experiences, and we're here to share them with you guys.